Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's part 4 today of the online virtual retreat, Refresh and Grow. And I'm so excited. Today, my friend Mary Yelton is going to talk about how spiritual crafting and her faith have kind of come together over the years. She's going to demonstrate a spiritual craft for us. I'm not an arts and crafts person, so I have a lot to learn. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm glad you could join us. This is our final segment in this retreat. And after our craft demonstration, we'll be talking about how to tie it all together and what this retreat was about for you. So please stay with us through to the end, or if you need to stop, take a break, come back and join us again so we can tie it all together. And now, here's my friend, Mary Yelton. We're going to swap places. I'll go off screen, put my mask back on, and Mary will lead us through a craft session.
So glad that you could join us today. I love the springtime. Springtime is just so full of life and growth and opportunity. I love planting flowers outside and people saying, "Oh, your garden looks so nice," like I had anything to do with it. God's the one who makes the flowers grow. I just put them in the ground. So this is another thing that has grown for me is spiritual crafting with journals. I wasn't a person that had journals growing up as like my friends had diaries and I said, "Oh my goodness, so not interested in that." But then I was thinking about, had gone to a session about prayer and listing your prayer concerns in a journal and taking that journal and going back and revisiting it later on to see how prayers are answered, sometimes in a way that we never expected. There are other uses for journals too, journaling your life. Sometimes it's therapeutic, but a lot of times it's a spiritual growth exercise as well. It's really neat too to be able to share some of these with friends and family. Um, the things that can be just so simple. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what we're going to start out with. Some of them are very, very small, and they started with a simple composition book like this. Some of them, this one, I have several of these, and I keep one in my purse at all times. And this is just a spiral bound notebook. And you can get these for like in a pack four for $1. Um, I just use mostly scrapbooking paper, but you can use so many different things. If you have thick gift wrapping, you can use that. I found cardboard was really interesting. I got a package the other day in the mail and I said, "Oh, I can really use that for a cover of one of my books." And then I embellished it. So I'm going to go through the step by step process of how you would start with a plain notebook, a small one, to 5 by 7 at this point. There's a lot of tutorials online on Pinterest, my favorite place. Um, One of the things that they didn't discuss, though, was how do I protect the pages inside? And I could just see me having glue all over the front and back pages and all the pages stuck together. So I had to come up with a way to protect that. So my friend aluminum foil worked just fine. I just pulled it out. I covered both the front and the back with the aluminum foil, made sure that it tucked way down into the binding so that the glue wouldn't congregate there, and it worked just fine for me. Then I needed to get some paper. So this was just a piece of paper that I found, and I happen to like. It's got a texture. I know you can't see the texture, but it's really kind of neat. So I just took the paper, a big sheet of the paper, and I laid it down flat. I put the binding to the edge of the notebook. I drew a line around the notebook, and then I added just a little bit for edging to fold over. Let me show you how I did that. This is just a regular piece of scrapbooking paper, and I have laid down the notebook. I have taken a pencil around it, and because my hands shake a lot, I have a handy dandy little cutter, but you can just use scissors. So I just line it up, down, boom, boom. It's cut the one side, and the other side it's cut, and it's just that fast. Um, and then I did one for the inside cover. I want to do the inside cover too. So I'm going to make it again the size of this, but instead of going wider, so I have fold-in edges, I'm going to go shorter so it will match the inside. So I'm going to, again, lay this down, line up my line. This wasn't an expensive item, but it certainly does save me a lot of time. I think it was $15 at that big box retail store that I used to work at. There, it's all done. So, the other thing that you're going to need little sponge brushes or little paint brushes, whatever you have at home. I love these sponge brushes. You can rinse them off. You can see that I've used this one quite a bit. And then there's Modge Podge. This one is a matte finish. That means it's not shiny. I use this 90% of the time. But then this one is a glossy finish. So there are some times when I'm finishing a book that I want it to have a little bit of a sheen. So this book, which is one of my favorite, I cut out flowers from a magazine, and I put the glossy finish on it so it would stand out a little bit better. So when you're looking for supplies, mostly the matte finish will work just perfectly fine. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our glue. This is a brand new one because I've been gluing quite a bit lately. So I'm going to take my notebook, and I'm going to just get a little bit of the glue on here, and I'm going to lightly cover the cover of the book just up to that black binding. You can go all the way around the book and cut it, the spine part of the material as well. It takes a little bit of processing when you're flipping over things and stuff, but this one is a lot simpler to deal with. So I'm just putting a light coating of the Modge Podge on. As you can see, it's just covering the whole book. And then I'm taking the piece of paper that I had just cut, and I'm lining it up right along the edge of that binding, right along the edge of the binding, and then I'm flattening it out. Now, this is the real important part, is flattening it out really well. So this is my old driver's license. My new one came in the mail. They didn't collect the old one, so I put it to good use here. And I'm just pushing really hard, and I'm scraping all the way down around the edges, flat on the sides, to get this to go through. And now that part is done. Now we're going to open it up, and you can tell that a little bit of the glue came around here. So it's a good thing that I had that foil on there to protect my paper. Before I do the next thing, you want the corners to be really sharp and nice and edged. So you just take the scissors and you're just cutting a little angle, just a simple little angle across the edge here, so that when we fold it in, it's going to be a very nice, neat fold. So I'm going to cut both sides. Now, the next thing that I have ready too is my inside paper that I cut. Yes. Again, I'm just going to take more of my glue, my Modge Podge glue. I'm going to go around the edges of the front cover that I did. I'm going to do that, and just the sides that I'm folding over my front page for. So I'm folding it over nice and neat. I fold the other side over, the long edge, and then I'm doing the short edge on the bottom. and I'm pressing it down. Now my fingers are getting all messy. I get a little bit more glue, pop it in here, all the way to that binding edge. You'll see that inside here too. Just a little bit of this glue. If there's a little bit too much, I just wipe it off. And now I'm going to take what I cut and measured for the inside, and I'm going to place it right on top. And I'm going to push it down again with my driver's license or, old credit card or whatever you have around. Sometimes they have scrapers that you can buy in the craft stores and stuff. I just use what I have at home. So here's my front cover, and here's the back. And you can see that the corners and stuff are pretty good. Now it needs to dry a little bit, but before it dries, I'm going to jump to the back cover. Again, it's the same process. I'm going to put the glue, put it around, flash it up back and forth. Get my piece of paper, line it up, squish it down. This one is a little stiffer fabric or material, so add a little bit more. And again, just push it down, lay it flat, and let it go. So sometimes you have to just let them sit and dry for a while, depending upon the fabric. So we're going to let that one go off to the side, and we're going to go back to the second one that I have sitting here. This is the fabric, or the paper, I call it fabric, I'm just crazy, that I'm going to be using on this side, the second one that I'm going to do. Again, you're just going to put the glue on here. Cover it up. Sometimes they pull off a little bit. There I go. If it comes out, it oozes out on the seam line for the binding, it's going to dry just fine, so don't worry about that. Again, we're going to flip to the inside. I'm going to trim the corners. That's real important if you want to get a nice edge on the binding on the inside. We'll take some more glue. We'll go back and forth. I'm just going to do all of it at once now, since my hands are a mess anyway. I'm going to fold the long edge in. I'm going to fold it down real tight. I'm going to fold the bottom edge up and crease it with my fingernails. I'm going along, and I'm going to do the same over here on the top. And that looks pretty good. So what I have here now is a piece of cardstock. It's a little bit heavier than paper, but they come pre-cut in a package, and they're exactly the perfect size for the 5x7s. So I can do that in here. I'm lining that up in here, and again, I'm taking my card and I'm smushing it all around, and then we're getting another really good edge. See? You can do the front and the back and have several of them done, and then the fun part comes in, is decorating things. What I have done here, I've pulled out some pieces from greeting cards. I love getting greeting cards, and I have a couple crafty friends who do handmade greeting cards, so I make sure that I always save those. So this one I got, And I'm going to put this one right in the center. So I'm taking my glue again. I'm putting it on the back. Now I'm trying to be really neat here so it doesn't glue out too much on the front page of my card or my book. I'm going to center it and I'm going to push it down, and then once again I'm going to take my card and I'm going to flatten it down. Flatten it down. Boom. This one had a really cute little tag on it and it was off to the side, so I took that off the card as well. And I'm going to add more glue to the back of it. And I'm going to carefully place it. Make sure you have it the right way. I've been known to put things upside down. So, and we're just going to stick it right there. Sometimes with the glue, I have to hold it down so that it doesn't warp and so that something is. So there's many a time I'll be taking something and putting it on and letting it go. That happens a lot when we're doing some of these others. This was a spiral bound notebook that I just did just the front cover. And when you're putting the glue and stuff on it, sometimes it warps a little bit. You can see it warp. So you just need to set it and have something on top of it to flatten it down. Again, this on the bottom here, this bird, that was cut from a greeting card that somebody sent me. So I took some old ribbon and I just wrapped it around the spiral, just wrap, 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 wrap in no order, just continue, wrap it around, tie it off at the bottom, and then you've got this really cool little notebook here. That's the same concept as this one over here. And I just did pink over here. But then I also put some embellishments on it. This one you probably can't see too well. But it's got a little sticker. Sometimes at that big box Hobby Lobby store, which happened to be my favorite, I'll go and I'll buy some stickers that have little religious sayings on it. This one says, "Great strength comes from faith in God." And in times like these, it's so important to remember that God strengthens and encourages us in so many ways. So maybe you know someone who needs some encouragement. This might be a great spiritual gift for them. You can get the kids involved in it too. We just cut out from a variety of colors balloons and we put them on a fun background and we just tied it with crazy ribbons going out all over the place. Kids love things like this. There are so many different ways to embellish. Um, Again, at the retail outlets, you can get all kinds of stickers, all kinds of flowers. Look for the orange price tag because those are the ones that are really cheap. That's the ones I buy. Or if they're on 40% or 50% off sale, I might consider that. But there are so many different ways to do this, whether it's the big notebooks, which are like 8 by 10. These notebooks I get at Walmart. And during school season, when it's back to school, they were 50 cents a piece. Recently, I bought them and they were 79 cents a piece. So it's not that bad of a project to start on. It's nothing real expensive. It doesn't take a whole lot of um, supplies and fancy devices or anything like that. If you're good with scissors, that works fine. And the glue, you can buy that by the gallon. So it's just really a neat, fun way to de-stress, to have a part in creating something that's fun and exciting, something that maybe you can share with people that may just need something to brighten their day. But this is one way of being able to remember that God answers prayers in so many ways. Again, this is a sticker, one piece of paper that I wound all the way around front and back, the exact same way, just a little bit of glue, open it up inside. You've got different papers and maybe different stickers going inside. So that's when I have this. Um, I made large ones. This one has got like a travel motif. I know somebody who said that they knew someone going on a trip and they wanted one that had some travel indications and stuff. So I made this for them. Um, this one caught my eye. I just love the colors. This this is just the orange background, and then this piece of paper I found separately. It was in a book, and so I just cut it out, and it had little lines. I put little lines on here, and I put little messages on it, and so you can get as fancy or elegant or as silly as you want to get with these. But it's a nice way of spending some quality time with what I call glue gun therapy, and then being able to possibly share that with other people. So I'm so glad you were able to join me today in spiritual crafting. Thank you very much. I hope that you find yourself blessed beyond measure today.